Forget the 10 signs. Forget the 20. I am going to give you 3. If you have the 3, Sophia chose you. If you do not have the 3, it is something else. And I will not soften this, because the texts that survived 2,000 years of erasure did not soften it either. The ancient Gnostics had a name for what they were searching for. They called it the pneumatic mark, not a metaphor. A specific configuration of 3 internal phenomena that, when present together in the same soul, indicated something the demiurge had failed to suppress. A spark that remembered itself. And here is what almost no one tells you. The 3 signs are not noble, they are not flattering. From the outside, they look like flaws, like restlessness that does not pass, like quiet maladjustment to a world everyone else seems to accept. That is exactly why the church spent 15 centuries trying to convince you that what you feel is sin, weakness, or imbalance. Because if you ever recognized the 3 signs in yourself, you would stop obeying. If you have always sensed there is something wrong with the world, you are not crazy. You are reading the signal correctly. And by the end of this video, you will know whether the signal is meant for you, or whether you are simply standing near someone else's fire. But before I name the 3, I need to give you something. Because anyone can list signs. The ancient teachers did not list. They tested, and the first test, the one they used in absolute silence before saying a single word to a candidate, was this. They watched for a sensation that has a specific name in the surviving texts. The Gospel of Philip calls it the moment when those who have seen themselves. The Apocryphon of John describes it as the spark recognizing its own light. In the technical vocabulary of the early Gnostic schools, it was called pleromatic recognition. Pleromatic from pleroma, the realm of fullness, recognition because nothing new is learned. Something old is remembered. Pleromatic recognition does not happen in meditation. It does not happen in temples. It happens in the most ordinary moments. You are washing a dish. You are walking down a street you have walked 1,000 times. You are listening to someone speak and the words fade. And for 2 seconds, 3 seconds, sometimes longer, the world becomes transparent. You see through it, not metaphorically, literally. You feel that the surface of reality is thin, that something larger is pressing against it from the other side, and that you are the only one in the room who can feel it. Most people forget within minutes. They explain it away. Tiredness, a trick of light, a mood. But for those who carry the pneumatic mark, the sensation does not fade. It accumulates. It becomes the background frequency of their entire life. A quiet, persistent knowing that what everyone calls reality is a stage, and they are the only one who has noticed the stagehands. This is the first sign, and if it just describes something you have lived through more times than you can count, do not move, because what you just heard is the surface. The Gnostics had 7 internal markers connected to this single phenomenon. 7. In a teaching this old, the surface is never the lesson. The lesson is what waits underneath, and what you just heard is only the first layer. There are 6 more, and what they reveal together has weight that a single video cannot carry. For those who have been watching this channel and sensing that the fragments are pointing to something larger, the complete initiation exists. It is in the pinned comment. But stay with me, because the second layer changes how you understand the first. Let me show you what almost no teacher will tell you about this first sign, because the sensation has a counterpart, a shadow that follows it, and the shadow is what separates the chosen from the merely curious. The shadow of pleromatic recognition is loneliness, not ordinary loneliness, not the absence of company, a different kind, a loneliness that gets worse in crowds. A loneliness that intensifies precisely when you are surrounded by people laughing, talking, planning their weekends. Because in those moments, the gap becomes unbearable. You see them fully inside the dream. And you are not. The Gnostics knew this. The Gospel of Thomas, Logion 49, says it directly. Blessed are the solitary and the chosen, for you will find the kingdom. The original Coptic word translated as solitary is monachos, but monachos does not mean alone in the social sense. It means single one, unified, internally one piece while everyone else is fragmented. And the loneliness comes from the fact that a single one, surrounded by fragmented ones, cannot truly be reached. You can be loved, you can be needed, you can be admired. But reached in the deep sense, no, because there is no one in the room operating at your frequency. If your entire life has felt like this, if you have always been the one who listens to everyone's secrets but has no one to tell yours to, if you have learned to translate yourself into smaller versions of yourself just to be understood, you already know what I am about to say. This is not a personality flaw. This is the second confirmation that the spark is intact in you. The demiurge cannot use a single one, so he isolates them. He makes them feel broken. He hopes they will medicate the signal away. Most do. You did not, and that is why you are still watching. Now, the second sign. And this one is the rarest of the three. So rare that the early Gnostic teachers considered it definitive. If a candidate showed the first two but not the third, they were sent away with respect. If the third was present, the inner transmission began that same night. The second sign is recurring dreams that began in childhood, but not any recurring dreams, a specific kind, dreams of vast architecture you have never seen, temples, halls, stairways that descend into chambers carved with symbols you do not consciously know, or dreams of being chased by something faceless, formless that you somehow understand is not a person but a system, or dreams of flying not as joy but as escape, of looking down on cities and feeling that you are being watched by something above the clouds, of corridors that loop, of doors you must not open, and the suffocating certainty that you have opened them before. The Apocryphon of John describes the soul's pre-incarnational memory leaking through sleep. The text says that the spark, before being trapped in flesh, witnessed the architecture of the cosmos from above, and that this memory does not vanish. It seeps through during sleep, especially in childhood, before social conditioning seals the gates. The archontic system, according to the same text, dispatches what the Gnostics called dream feeders. Entities whose function is to corrupt the symbols, to insert fear, to make the sleeper wake terrified instead of curious, to make the child afraid of their own nightly initiation. If you had these dreams as a child, if you still have versions of them now, if you have ever woken up and known, without being able to explain how, that the dream meant something specific, that is not random, that is leakage. The architecture you saw is real. You saw it before. And the fact that you can still access it, even fragmented, even distorted, means the seal the archontic system tried to place on you did not fully take. And I need to stop here for a moment, because what I just explained, that exact mechanism of how the spark remembers through dreams and where the leakage points are, is the reason I created the ancient code. It is not an audio. It is not a single transmission. It is a complete Gnostic initiation. 5 private video masterclasses, the ancient code dossier you can hold in your hands, and a guided meditation series designed to activate what these videos can only describe. If you have been watching these videos for weeks and feeling that you are ready for the full path, not another fragment but the entire map, this is what it was built for. Pinned, comment, or scan the QR code on screen. But before any of that matters, you need to hear what comes next. Because the next revelation is the one the church spent 15 centuries trying to bury, and once you hear it, you cannot unhear it. The first 2 signs were the doorway. The third is what waits on the other side. The third sign. The reason the ancient teachers called it definitive is because it cannot be faked, it cannot be performed, it cannot be acquired through reading or practice. It either lives in you or it does not. And if it does, it has been there since you were old enough to feel anything at all. The third sign is a sense of unfulfilled mission that refuses to leave, even when your life is good. especially when your life is good. Listen carefully.